All right. Welcome back to the Dungeon to Doom podcast. We are no longer at the Indiana Convention Center. We are back home. I am your host, Ben Raven, joined by fellow host, Corey Woods here. Corey, how are you doing?
What up, though? What up, though? How you doing?
Man, I'm all right. You know, it's the week after the Combine. A lot of people think, oh, you're probably just chilling, taking it easy this week. No.
Psych.
Free agency. Free agency is already kind of happening. We had our second mock drafts. We're going to talk free agency. We're going to talk a deal that just came through literally like 25 minutes ago.
Setting up.
It is Friday morning, March 7th. We are your Dungeon of Doom podcast, and perfect segue into our first topic of the day. Derek Barnes. He's coming and he's not going. He is sticking around. The Lions and Derek Barnes have agreed to a 3-year contract worth up to $25.5 million. Good for Barnes. And he gets $16 million of that guaranteed at signing. Corey, hit me with your thoughts. I love this.
You know what? Me and you had differing opinions on this. You called this out early on. You said that, hey, this guy is one of Shep's projects. They've invested so much time into him. You didn't see them moving on from him despite the injury last season. And I said, well, maybe he might follow AG out the door. Maybe he might try to get a bigger bag on the market, or they'll try to improve at the position in the draft. Well, that just got eliminated. They went ahead and rewarded him with a nice deal. I think it is a very smart move because once again, it shows that this Lions team is rewarding its homegrown players. And if you hear something in the background, that is probably my little GM who is bouncing around. Shout out to daycare being closed. But back to the topic. It's a really solid move, and I think that the continuity there, the familiarity with Shep, it just makes the most sense, and it also shows that I believe the Lions feel that they feel real good about his vitals and him coming back and being healthy and ready to start and contribute.
Yeah, I think 25.5 million, 16 million guaranteed. I mean, man, he did not have to hit the open market to get a very strong deal, and that I think that shows you how they feel about his knee. This injury happened in week 3, happened early in the season. We talked to him in the locker room. I think it was early mid-November, before Thanksgiving for sure. That month is a blur in our world. But he was off crutches, starting to move around, swimming, still had the crutches like near, but like that was already 4 months ago, man. And he was talking about like, I'm not ready to close the door on this season even. So like, I think that shows you where he's at in his recovery, and this type of commitment shows how the Lions feel about it.
Yeah, that was a good point right there because we did see him moving around pretty good actually. Before the season ended, and I was thinking like, let's say the Lions did run the table and make it to the Super Bowl, that he could have also been a guy like Hutch that might have been like, let me test it out and a couple of snaps and see what happens.
No, I love this move because before he got hurt, he was dominating that Sam linebacker, just a perfect fit for that spot, playing in the box, playing on the line, playing not just a little slot cornerback, but like playing a decent amount of slot cornerback for someone the size of Derek Barnes, and just his relationship with Shep, the versatility he brings to that defense, and the fact that this team drafts, develops, and retains better than anybody in the league since Brad Holmes took over. I'm like, I feel like him and Levi, I don't care what the deal is. I feel like those guys are coming back. Like, I really do feel like those guys are coming back. And now Barnes gives you a versatile linebacker room with Campbell and Anzalone. He's going to dominate at that Sam spot. And I just think, man, the things he does to that defense, how badly he was missed on that defense before even the skies started falling. Great deal, because this was someone, it was tough in the beginning, man. I mean, he was like a defensive end, hybrid linebacker at Purdue, comes in, gets thrown to the fire in 21 and struggles, but then 2023 happens. He showed up at that camp and it was like, wow, that looks like a starter. Then he played 2023 like a starter. Then he put an explanation point on that season with an interception in the divisional round game, immediately putting him into Detroit lore forever. And just, you got to keep guys like this. That price tag does not scare me. The fact that it's that high shows me they feel good about his knee. And I think this is a win-win-win. And this is a Patton and Brad Holmes move right here. Free agency, 3, 4, 5 days away. Perfect time to get it done.
And also this last thing for me on top of it, with you promoting Shep to defensive coordinator, that at least gives him one less thing to worry about as far as his starting unit at the linebacker. He knows that, hey, I've known these guys. I've developed 2 of them. I'm good. we're great. That's one less thing for me to worry about as I go ahead and shift to focusing about the defense as an entirety.
Yeah, and I wish I had the audio clip on me, but I'll just read this Shep quote from 2022 about Derek Barnes. The sky's the limit. I got a molded clay, and I can make it into whatever I wanted. That player there's not many in the league with that statue, his power, with the way he can run and hit and do what he can do. So we'll leave it there, right there. I mean, that's stuff like that, and just Shep's mentorship, molding that clay of Derek Barnes. I had a hard time seeing him playing anywhere elsewhere. Didn't see the deal being this big or for even that long. As I told you, I was like, maybe they'll give him like a 2-year deal with an option, see how he recovers. But hey, they feel good. I feel good. Derek Barnes has got to be feeling good. And honestly, just a personal level, couldn't have happened to a better guy. He always talks to us in the locker room. He always has something positive and real to say. And that's a win for the Lions beat as well, man.
Big W. Because again, you just said, Barnes is a guy that will not only just talk to you, but he will give you meaningful answers. Like it's not just fluff. He'll give you one answer. You can pretty much just write a whole story just off of that one quote and just run with it.
No, it is true. We got more free agency talk. We're going to run through our latest mock drafts based on what we learned at the Combine in today's episode. I do want to give a shout out. Email your questions to the Dungeon of Doom at mlive.com. We are tentatively planning on a free agency mailbag podcast next week. We'll let some dust settle before we record that, but get those questions in. Once again, free email, Dungeon of Doom at mlive.com. Get those questions in, get those comments in. Be nice. Love you. And that'll be a kind of a cool thing to use here moving forward. But yeah, let's get into it, man. We've been running our free agency previews all week. I don't know about you, but like this market is kind of whatever at like every position other than offensive guard. And I still think the top option for the Lions to bring back, or out of all the guards on the market, is Kevin Zeitler. Just let's just go through our expectations of free agency. I am leaning in the sense that I think it's going to be more of taking care of some of their own and then filling in the gaps. I don't think they're going star searching. I'm not hearing you on my end. There you go.
That you did not hear me because I was muted. That was my fault.
No, you're playing it smart.
Yeah. So were you talking? You're talking about as far as just in general, just from offensive guards.
Just in general, what are your expectations for free agency? That's the big one I expect to get done, is Kevin Zeitler to get back.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Kevin. I believe they're going to bring Kevin Zeitler back. Also, too, with Derek Barnes getting wrapped up, that eliminates one thing right there. I will say this: I do think that cornerback is going to be a focus of them for this season. I'm not sure if what's going to happen with the whole Carlton Davis situation. I got to even see if that was his real Twitter handle that people are going around posting about him talking about the highest bidder. I don't think that's his real handle, but I'll check it out. But I do think that focusing on the cornerback spot is going to have to be something that they do, because as Terrion Arnold, he showed flashes last season. We didn't really see, if anything, from Rakestraw. And you got a couple of guys, and you got a Meek back, but I think you need at least another proven level starter in there, at least on a 1-year deal. And Darius Slay, he's released. I'm not trying to say that should be I'm not trying to say that guy should be the focus, but if the number is right, I think that he's a guy that they should look at considering if Davis is just too expensive for them to bring back.
Yeah, I'm at the point right now where I don't expect Carlton Davis to be back. Like I don't expect it. I think the kind of this market, where he stands among defenders, where he stands among cornerbacks, the amount of teams who need cornerbacks, Carlton Davis is going to get paid somewhere. And I do think that is one spot, as well as he fit in here, as great as he was for Arnold and Rakestraw, as much as he loved playing for Campbell and playing for Detroit. I think that's tough. And I think I almost think that the fact that it hasn't happened yet, just because it's someone they traded for last offseason. We were asking extension questions to management and coaches in July and August, and it still hasn't happened yet. So that makes me feel like that price is only going to go up for him. And that is why I don't care if Darius Slay ever played here or not. I think he's a fit for this situation, because
absolutely,
the man has basically said he only wants to play one more year. A 1-year deal for Darius Slay at this stage of his career is not going to be a back-breaking, cap-breaking deal. And I think, man, can you imagine a locker room with Darius Slay next to Terrion Arnold? That's gonna be mandatory recording video Wednesdays right there. I'll say that about Slay though. He's a wild card, but a good wild card. Like, he is a true mentor. He's a true good presence in that locker room. He is one of those guys that the previous regime of Quinn Trisha ran out of town, ran into the ground, tried to hit his confidence, tried to question his manhood, and then when made 3 Pro Bowls, appeared in 2 Super Bowls, and won 1 in Philadelphia. And I just, he's not as fast as he once was, but dang, man, he's like one of the best zone corners in football, and the man knows how to play man coverage better than most. And just what he could teach some of those guys compared to what Carlton Davis is going to cost, I'm on board. Slay train, bring him home.
And just to add on to that, this is a guy, like you just said, this is a guy that really does want to come back to Detroit, in my opinion. This stuff of, I know he said he's still open to Philadelphia, but he has his ring. I think he wants to come back and finish where he started. And I just think he would be a really good piece to be able to, not only does he fills a void, but he'll be a good, mentor and teacher for Rakestraw, for Arnold, and appears to be a guy that wants to go ahead and embrace that role as well. So I just think it's a win-win all around. And I also think that's a guy that, while you're trying to go ahead and go make other deals to improve his defense, he's a guy you might be able to get on some type of a discount.
No, I think so too. And I love the fact that last year he shared that cornerback room and that cornerback rotation with 2 rookies. He's done it. He did it last year, and he wasn't making headlines complaining about playoff teams like a former ex-Lion and current Eagles teammate of his. So, like, I think he's got the right. I ain't trying to get a rap verse about me. He's trying to. He's got the right mentality for that kind of situation. If the Lions want to work Rakestraw more into the picture, if the Lions want to move Robertson around, if the Lions want to move Branch around, I'm telling you, I think Slay, just based on how he carries himself in podcast interviews, media availabilities, I think he's built for this type of finish, to be a contributor, but also to be an important locker room contribution. So I think I said it. I'll say it again. I'm in on Darius Slay. Bring him home.
Yeah.
If anybody deserves to play for a Lions contender, it's Darius Slay, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, for sure. But elsewhere, man, I don't know. I guess we don't even need to like talk about the free agent market, because the big talk of the world is like who's available for a trade right now, because like Trey Hendrickson's name gets added to the list, and that is one where I'm like, yo, crossover Campbell knows this defensive scheme. I mean, I know it's going to tweak a little under Shep, but that made sense to me 4 years ago. It makes even more sense at this stage of the game.
And on top of the fact that, okay, you're getting a high-level pass rusher opposite Hutchinson that is going to be significantly cheaper.
Yes.
So as far as the compensation you have to give up to get him, so I think that it will be great to go ahead and swing for the fences and get Myles Garrett. But I mean, from what we're talking about updated reports we just seen, the Browns brass doesn't even want to meet with this guy, because they're dead set on, hey, we are not moving you. He's prepared to miss some games. I mean, look, it would be great for the Lions to be able to land a Myles Garrett, but if Cincinnati is answering that phone and the deal is right, you can't wait. You got to pull the trigger on that deal and get him opposite Hutchinson. And that's just my opinion on it. If the guy, they're giving him permission to seek a trade and you guys can come to an agreement on something that makes sense, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, the Myles Garrett situation. Here's my take on that. Obviously, if they could get him, that would be awesome. It would immediately be, holy crap, Garrett and Hutchinson. But like, let the Browns blow this up. Like, I honestly think, take a step back. If they're even in talks with the Browns, like, yo, what's up? So I think just take a step back. Let the Browns stub their toe over and over and over again. And the longer this thing runs its course, and if Garrett starts threatening to sit out games and stuff, that's where you might see the trade go down a little bit. But yeah, Trey Hendrickson, man, just based on the sack production, the familiarity with some of the coaching staff. Like, look into it for sure. And the Bengals, I don't know what it is about these Ohio NFL teams, but like the Bengals are known for screwing this stuff up too. I mean, I was just reading the Pro Football Talk report saying that Max Crosby's deal with the Raiders spurned the Bengals to want to trade Trey Hendrickson, and I'm like, how does that even make sense? Like, they're not like, I don't know, man.
I mean,
so
I know Trey wants a deal, but I don't think he would be getting Max Crosby money. No disrespect, but whatever. I mean, you can have him opposite Hutchinson, and then boom, you got him reunited with DJ Reader. I mean,
yeah. Two.
Woohoo! Reader,
Reader,
Hutchinson, Alim, and Hendrickson.
That's fun to think about. Seriously, seriously, for sure. Another name that I don't expect to be in the mix for Detroit that got released is Joey Bosa. Kind of surprised me there, especially with Khalil Mack heading for free agency, but like, it kind of feels like Bosa's going to play with his brother in San Francisco. Everybody from an insider to a fan to betting network seem to be thinking that. So I wouldn't hold my breath on that one either. But yeah, there are some more options available on the edge and defensive line front for sure.
I would rather, and this would be just like, I'm not trying to put on a fan hat, but just me thinking, if I were a fan, I would rather the Lions focus on drafting an edge rusher as opposed to bringing in Joey Bosa. I mean, the guy has not, you have a Super Bowl window, and this guy has not proven to stay healthy over the past couple of years. I mean, it's kind of like you will be putting yourself back into a Marcus Davenport situation. So right. I just don't think that it will, getting a Joey Bosa at this stage for the Lions would make sense. Maybe a couple of years ago, or if they went through, if the team was in a different scenario, okay, cool, kick the tires on them. But I mean, right now, you need to focus on trying to land a Myles Garrett or a Trey Hendrickson. And I mean, if you just happen to swing and miss on both of those, maybe you could visit, okay, how much will Joey Bosa cost, and does it make sense? But yeah, I would be out on that one.
I am curious to see what the Hendrickson market looks like. I mean, we're going to put a little respect on his name before we change topics. He has not missed a game over the last 2 seasons. He has 35 sacks in 34 games. First team All-Pro last year, runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year from the AP last year. Yes, he is on the other side of 30, but woo, man, there's some production there. I would be very curious, like, if they could trade and maybe 2-year big time upfront money get him. I'm almost at the point now where if you can get a Hendrickson deal done, go try and get that one done. Don't wait around on the Browns, man.
You don't want to really say what a team's window is per se, but let's just say the Lions have a 2 or 3 year window. Hendrickson fits right inside of that. So I mean, worry about everything else later on. You're still probably going to be drafting an edge anyway, and by that time, that guy should be ready to go ahead and be a high level starter.
And here's how I look at this window discussion for the Lions. I have a hard time putting like a year thing on it. You know what I mean? I think I go into a year. Is the window open? This year, it's absolutely open. Go for it. That's why I like Slay. That's why I like Hendrickson. Like, if you're looking to get an answer out of me, I honestly think that the Lions have a 4 to 5 year window. I've always said it. As long as Sewell's here, as long as Hutchinson's here, as long as St. Brown is here, this is a playoff contender floor. And those guys are here. They're going to be here. The Hutchinson kind of extension talk continues to kind of inch towards levels and stuff like that. And I would honestly say after the Max Crosby deal came through, I think it would probably be smart to get on that deal sooner than later. I know a lot of I try not to look on social media too much nowadays for obvious reasons, but like I see fans like, oh no, wait on Hutch. Let's make sure he's going to come back. He didn't tear anything up. He broke his bone. He is a football robot. And I mean that in every positive sense in the world. That man is going to come back. Yes, I understand it was a serious, nasty injury, but like we're talking about Aiden Hutchinson. There is a reason why Dan Campbell refused to rule that dude out, because it's Aiden Hutchinson. All he does
he ruled other players out. He did not rule Aiden out so quickly.
Exactly, man. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. I think, yeah, I have liked the process of getting those deals done as early as possible. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, man. Shoot, I think that should cover our free agency talk because I do think it's going to be guys like Zeitler and Anzarike at the top of the list. Even talking about outside names, get those two guys done. See what you can do on the market. Find a couple veterans to come in and compete. Explore a couple trades maybe for those guys because if you can leave some cap floor on the ground after taking care of a couple of your own, that's when you get those deal done. But I say get Zeitler done, get Anzarike done. Fan base will feel very good about that, in my opinion, or at least they should, and then figure out the trade stuff. I don't know, man. Where are you at on that?
I'm with it. That's where I'm at. You got to go ahead and take care of that line. You got to go ahead and keep a homegrown guy like Ozarika if you can, and then after that, figure everything else out. Because I mean, right now, look like it's going to be shaping up to be a pretty good offseason for the Lions if they are a tad bit more aggressive than they were over previous years, especially on that trade market. And I mean, for hopefully for them, Brad does something just a little bit different to get them over the hump this year, because you can't really say anything bad about what he's done in the previous years, but now it might just be time for a slight tweak in the approach.
Yeah, and let's leave on this. I'm at 20% Davis returns, 80% he doesn't. What do you put it? Where are you at on Davis? I've been trying to gauge people's minds.
I think I'm a lower. I think I'm 90% gone. 10% he returns.
I thought I went low. Okay, that makes me feel good about where I'm at. You know, I think he's a great player. I think he's a great fit. I just think it's kind of like the Vikings and Sam Darnold situation. Man, you have earned the opportunity to go get yourself a big multi-year bag. We'd like to do that, but we got other things to take care of first. Thank you for your service. And you know,
it's as much as you would like him to return. Again, you can get Slay on a 1-year deal, save some money, and by the time Slay is gone, hopefully you're hoping that Rakestraw and Arnold are ready to go ahead and go as your tandem, and then and maybe bring back a Meek after his deal is done, and then right there you're set.
Yeah, I do like the kind of 1-year vet, see how Arnold and Rakestraw develop with the pieces around him. I do like that plan, and that is why Slay is the name that keeps coming up. There's a couple names out there that make sense too, and there's a couple of good guard names out there that make sense if Zeitler doesn't come back either. You can read those free agency previews at mlive.com/Lions. All right, let's excuse me. Let's shift into mock draft talk. We're not going to go through it like we did last time. That was like a week ago, it feels like. But we had changes. We had changes in our mock drafts. I'll start with mine. The big change for me was at the top of the board. You know, just everything everyone is saying just makes me feel like, all right, it does seem like the Titans are going to take Cam Ward at the top. So that was the big change at the top. I did change my Lions pick, and it's because I had the Chargers, who now have no edge rushers, it seems like. I had them taking the Boston College cat, Donovan Ezeriku. I liked him for the Lions. I think he's going to go a little higher off the board. I had the Lions taking Texas A&M edge Nick Scarton, who led the Big Ten in sacks at Purdue, who did the Texas A&M defensive line didn't have the gaudy sack numbers, but he had the hurries, he had the pressures, won 17% of his pass rushes, and was a beloved run stopper at the position, which is extremely important for this group. The one interesting thing about Scarton, weighed 257 pounds at the combine. That he was listed at 285 pounds. You know, he was kind of viewed by some people as an inside-outside presence coming in the draft. If he's going to be playing at 260, that's an edge rusher. He's had the production at the position before. He's built in that, you know, even down 20 pounds or whatever he's going to enter camp at, he still has that sturdy presence to him, like a Josh Paschal, a Marcus Davenport. And he's got some shades of a pass rusher in there, man. I mean, the main thing that sticks out to him when he really is a obvious pass rushing down, he sets up his spin move like Aiden Hutchinson. I'm not comparing him to Aiden Hutchinson, but I even asked Nick about this at the combine, was like, how do you know when to set up that spin move? Because as a former offensive lineman myself, I was always looking for guys spinning in the middle of the line to pancake them, because when they're spinning, you can drill them. And he's like, man, I just set it up. I hit him with the club like 4 times in a row, just cross, and then bam, spin inside. So he's got a cerebral way of thinking about the pass rush. He's been productive in the past. He goes to the SEC. Yes, his sack production goes down, but like I think his overall game took off. So I really like that pick for the Lions. I see you were thinking defense too. Who'd you go with at pick 28 in your second mock draft?
Ooh, I'm the king of butchering names, but I went with JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State. Just off of speaking with him, you know, first off, Pass rushing, I do believe he could develop a little bit more in there, but he's still graded pretty high. But run defense, IQ, athleticism, strength, he's got it all there. And I think that he'll be able to put it together under the coaching of not only Kelvin Shepherd but Casey Rogers, and he could be a project for them as they try to figure some things out. Because the reason I had them going edge is because first they need one, and then two, along with learning under Casey, I think that the Lions are going to win the Myles Garrett sweepstakes. So that's a guy that he can learn from Myles Garrett as well and be able to be a piece. Excels well in the 4-3 defense. By all accounts, that's pretty much what probably the same scheme Lions are going to be going ahead and running here. And the one thing that really stuck out to me, aside from what you see on tape from him, because on tape from him, he's nasty. He's a nasty dude, but he seems like a good locker room guy. And he talked about he has a certain humility about him where it's not meek or timid. It's just, hey, I'm coming in trying to be one of the guys, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to excel. And that to me sounds like a Dan Campbell guy. Just the guy that wants to come in here, work, be one of the guys, and do what is asked of him. And who knows? They could get him at 28. I think they also could possibly trade back and still in the first round to get him, because I think he would probably still be there at 32 if they wanted to do that. But yeah, that's what I have been going with. As far as my change on my biggest change on the board, it was at the top two. I had quarterbacks going off the first two with Cam Ward, then Shedeur Sanders. But because I think Myles Garrett is going to get traded to the Detroit Lions, I have the Browns taking Abdul Carter. I mean, if this guy is going out the door, you might as well go ahead and draft your edge rusher for the future right there. And you can go ahead and find your QB in the free agency market. There are going to be a couple options out there for them. Hopefully they'll be a little bit smarter about what type of bag they throw to a guy for that position. But that's where I had the biggest change, and I believe I had Shedeur dropping down to number 6 and going to the Las Vegas Raiders.
There you go. My take on the Browns is whether Garrett stays or goes, they should take Abdul Carter. I do think he is a freak, and I think that they should honestly. No NFL team tanks. No NFL team tanks, but like the Browns are in the situation where get that freaking Watson contract off the books, figure out this Garrett situation, grab a knockout stud like Carter, other than reaching for a quarterback that maybe you don't fully believe in. Like, that's what I think there. So I'm with you there, but I like your pick of JT for the Lions because he's a big, sturdy guy. And he also has a ton of sack production. 12.5 sacks last year, man. 22 tackles for loss at 280 pounds. That's their style. That's what they need. I like that.
And again, we're talking about a guy that, again, me and others, and pretty much the scouts are saying can develop into a better pass rusher, and he had nearly 13 sacks. So that tells you what kind of guy you'll be bringing to Detroit.
Yeah, and Scorton for me. It's Scorton, looked up his official pronunciation, so apologies on the first round there. I had a inaccurate pronunciation guide on the first one. I went right to the Aggies for this last one, but I just like his power on the outside. I really do like his power. The one thing that does make me raise an eyebrow is that weight loss. Maybe he is just focusing on being an edge rusher. I don't know. Maybe someone told him to drop some weight for the combine testing. All I know is that Scorton tested well. I like his sack production. I vividly remember him at Purdue, Big Ten football watcher here, like 10 sack guy, led the conference in sacks that year. Just seems, both of the guys we picked, both seems like stylistic, physical picks for the Lions that I like. And I don't care who comes back. I don't care who they trade for. I don't care who they sign. I still think they should add more to the defensive line.
Yeah.
We just saw what happened last year. When one guy goes down, they need more. They need more. Pascal's going to be entering the final year of his rookie deal. We don't know what's going to happen with Levi. Aleem and Wingo are working back from late season ACL injuries. The window's wide open. If you got too many pieces at the end of the season, that's a good problem to have, and it's a problem that they would have killed to have last year. So I'm with you, man. D-line or edge rusher, first round, all the way.
And again, let's say you get a Myles Garrett or a Trey Hendrickson. just looking at the salary situation, you're probably only going to have them here for really 2 years at most, maybe a third, but so really 2 years at most. So I just think it just makes the most sense to go ahead and add that guy, because those guys are going to be on opposite side of 30 when you get them. I mean, so it just makes the most sense to go ahead and make one of your make something that is honestly have been that was a weakness last year a strength, because again, they lost so many bodies on that in that front seven, where it was just like, okay, you're pulling guys off the street and just hoping somebody comes in and produces. So
Yeah.
they have a bevy of options for afforded to them in this drafted edge rusher. It's just all a matter of which one they get, but I think we are in agreement that they have to get one.
Yeah, that's right. The free agency, dumbest name in the world, legal tampering window opens Monday. So
What does that even mean?
I know, exactly. I hate it. I hate it so much. So expect the NFL world to be moving and grooving all weekend. That should really pick up even more steam on Monday. Get those questions into the Dungeon of Doom at MLive email account. And don't be afraid. Like, if somebody gets signed or your question gets changed, send another question. Drop a line in there. We will plan on a mailbag.
Real quick, feel free to drop a voice memo if you want to plug that real quick, so we can hear your voice on the podcast.
Yeah. We'll see if Patrick leaves himself in, but drop a voice memo as well too. Like, send a question, send a voice memo.
Maybe 30 seconds or so, don't give me too much to do, but yeah.
There you go. From the man himself. So yeah, use that. We'll use that. We're looking forward to using that, connecting with even more of you guys. Emails are free. Hit that thing up. Final thoughts on free agency. I am curious to see if the destination of Detroit and what they've built here continues to be a recruiting pitch. I am more of the thinking that it's going to be not a headline grabbing week, but I think they're going to take care of their own. And I think they're going to be smart in free agency, just because, kind of like you said, there are some options on the trade market that are not fever dreams, that are worth exploring, that could make this team better. And yeah, we'll be there every step of the way. It's going to be a busy, busy week for us. And man, Corey, I do want to get out of here, and I just want to say we lost someone special in the Detroit sports media sphere this week. Anybody who's covered the Detroit teams has had an online or some type of connection with Andy Isaac, World of Isaac. We lost him this week after a decade-long just cancer. Terrible, just terrible news. Just a beaming presence in the Detroit sports media world and social media. It's filled with so much bull crap. Just a beaming presence that was always trying to be positive. I only met the guy like 2 or 3 times in person, but like, it's one of those guys who like always messaged, like, when I got the Lions job the first time, when I got the promotion, never missed a birthday. Like, happy birthday, man. I hope you're doing well. Like, just a beaming positive presence. And I just think, what a legacy to leave behind of thousands of people who had never even met him in person, crying over his loss this week.
Woo, man. Yeah, Andy's loss hit me a little bit differently at one of my previous locations. Me and him worked together. Definitely was a big supporter of me, and especially me coming out my shell and taking more chances with the way that I covered the teams, said things on Twitter. He helped me out with that. Just even spoke to him as recently as like a couple of days before we headed out to the combine through chat. Just exchanged a couple of quick messages as he went into hospice. And yeah, it's a sucky situation. Just a guy that was always positive, always supportive, always good. You know what I mean? You see the tweets and you see the jokes, and I mean, man, he's a Twitter OG legend with some of the stuff that he said, but just knowing him on a personal level was just like, man, what a guy. And I didn't even to show you how he lived his life. Until after we stopped working together, I didn't even know that he had cancer.
Yeah.
I would have never known, just off of how he moved and how he lived and how he approached life. I did not know. It was a shock to me, and to know how long he had it, I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just a sucky situation, tough loss.
Yeah, it wouldn't feel right without closing the podcast without some words for World of Isaac, Andy Isaac, gone way too soon, beaming presence, and Saturday forever. And I will think of him every time the Lions and Bears play. I will hear his favorite thing to say, and I'm gonna eat a massive meal on top of a meal on top of a meal for him tomorrow to celebrate Saturday, because that's exactly what he would wanted to do. And yeah, it sucks. And just know that if you didn't meet him, you didn't interact with him, and you still feel a loss, that's real, because that's who he was. And it's going to suck not having those tweets and those messages come through when the Lions are playing. And, Michigan State won last Big Ten title before he went. And just a great dude, great presence, a great representation of Detroit sports.
Absolutely. Amen.
And all right, guys, sorry to end on a bummer and note. I just, we had to say something about him. He means a lot to a lot of us who have, But this has been your Dungeon of Doom podcast. As I said, use that Dungeon of Doom at mlive.com email for your questions, voice memos, anything you want. Mailbag. We're going to look into doing a mailbag free agency podcast next week. Check out our mock drafts at mlive.com/Lions. We are breaking down the free agency market position by position. That's at mlive.com/Lions. I'm Ben Raven. He is Corey Woods, and we are your Dungeon of Doom podcast.